favor, pop your business name, your venue name, your hotel name in the comments of this live. It is great coverage for you as well, because these lives always attract various people from the wedding industry. And so it's always good to see who is with us. And also you might be able to make connections during this conversation. Now, today I am going to share some core areas that I worked on with a recent hotel group to drive up their wedding revenue. So if you are wanting to drive up wedding sales, you are constantly having a conversation about wedding revenue, then this live is going to be very useful to you. Now, at the end, I will be sharing a free resource, an easily downloadable PDF completely for free. And I created this with 5 clear steps in it for you to follow. So remember, I'm going to be sharing with you at the end how you'll be able to get that access. Now, as we get started, I want to share something important with you. Back in 2015, 2016, nearly 10 years ago now, I was group wedding sales director for a hotel portfolio of 45. So this group was 45 properties, and my role was to increase revenue in the wedding specific market for this group. And we did achieve that, and we achieved it by increasing revenue by multi-millions. Now, what I want to let you know is actually a little secret that kind of changed the game for me during that time with that huge group of hotels. And it's the following. I sat in many revenue meetings, and these properties were 3-star, 4-star, 5-star. Some were urban, one was on a roundabout, some were country houses, and they were very different price points, and they were spread all over the UK. And what I found was that in each of the revenue meetings I would sit in, pretty much almost exclusively, the same thing was repeated when it came to talking about weddings in that revenue meeting. And so I want to share those two things with you first so that you can identify if this is happening at your property. And the reality was that in these revenue meetings, there was really only 2 ways that the team would focus on driving wedding sales. And the 2 ways they would do it was this. Number 1, they would just tell the wedding coordinator to book more weddings. Who's been in a revenue meeting like that, where simply the conversation is this: wedding coordinator, we need you to book more weddings. The sales are down in weddings. We need more revenue from this corner of the market. You need to book more weddings. And yet there was a distinct lack of any how. How was the wedding coordinator going to do that? What tools were we going to give that person? What was the structure? What was the strategy? So that was one of the ways I saw in the revenue meetings. The second way I saw, and again, you might see this in your meetings, you're welcome to tell me in the chat, is that the senior leaders or the general manager would decide, we're going to put out an offer. We're going to put out a wedding offer. We're going to slash rates. We're going to give a big percentage off for any dates booked in the next 6 months. Has anybody come across this in their revenue meetings? Just give me a little Y for yes in the chat. And now the problem with this is that lead times for weddings are typically 12 to 24 months. And simply by dropping rates, we are damaging the brand. We are sharing with those potential couples that we are now a cheaper, more budget product and that we are desperate for the business. And the thing is that the wedding market is so different to our restaurants, to our spa, to our bedroom bookings. And this is where we go wrong in those revenue meetings, because we're not understanding that the wedding market is very, very unique. And so what works in your spa is to create a lovely spa package, drop the rate, throw it out, and that works. We think it might work in weddings, and it typically does not. And we have to remember that weddings is a big life decision. It's not a corporate conference. It's our own personal money. It's not a leisure stay. It's not a spa break. This is a big life decision. And we don't want you to slash rates and just make us get married in the next 6 months. It's not that kind of booking. Now, I like to do a little caveat here, because when I was on property in my many, many years in different properties at Claridge's and Rosewood and Mandarin Oriental and these 5-star luxury properties, it is true that we would take bookings much quicker, because in the very high spend market, let's say over 150 grand, then yes, you could have a faster lead time. Yes, I had one bride who asked me what was my next available date, and it happened to be 9 weeks away. And she said, I'll take it. But those were with spends of over 150K. So if you're watching this and your average booking value is 20K, 10K, 30K, then the likelihood is your couple needs 12 to 24 months. And having that offer thrown out to market is not going to do the job that you want it to do. And again, in these revenue meetings, we typically see our sales managers or our office managers or our general managers not wedding specific. They've come through the food and beverage route. They've come through the conference route, and they are finding that the wedding market is a bit of a mystery. The way these couples buy is a bit of a mystery. So if any of that resonated, I totally get it. And if your revenue meetings look similar to those things I just said, and you're all out of ideas and you don't want to slash rates and you do want to support your team to be successful, then I'm going to cover some of that in the following few steps. And by the way, before I get deep into the weeds of this, if you think anyone from your team could benefit from being involved in this conversation with us, feel free to tag them in the comments. Maybe they won't be able to join live, but this will sit here on replay and they'll be able to watch it later. So just put a little @ and type their name right now in the comments, and they will get a notification to come and watch this content later. So next, let me share some of the steps that I took with a recent hotel group that I was working with. Now, let's cut to the good stuff, right? In the first 3 months, it was a 3-month program we did with them. In the first 3 months, they added an additional 17 weddings to their books in just 3 months. Now, I wonder, what's your ABV? What's your average booking value per wedding? And what would that equate to if you had an additional 17 weddings in the next 3 months? What would that look like? And also, let me underline this was extra weddings on top of what they were doing before we spent any money on advertising. So this was simply changing the core value, the core property, the core sales journey of the buyer before we added any money into ad spend. Because once we know it works, then we can look at ad spend because we know that the sales journey already works. So let me share 3 of the things we did. We did a few more, but here are 3 core things we did with them that you can implement immediately and start to look at on your own property. And as I go through this, guys, if this is useful for you, drop an emoji in the chat, hit the like button if you're finding this useful. Now, I can't see your comments on my screen, so I'm just going to take a look here on my phone so I can catch up. Perfect, lovely. So I can see you all joining in and I can see your comments now on my phone. Brilliant. So here are 3 of the core things that we did with them. And if you've got a pen, if you've got a piece of paper, then do take notes. Number 1, we turned their wedding page on their website, existing page. We turned their wedding page on their website into a high converting landing page. Because what we know about wedding couples right now in 2025 is that they are clicking around, they are browsing, they pretty much click off of anything. They're not given to commitment. They're not given to picking up the telephone and connecting with your team. They're really just researching and clicking around. And so we created a sales journey on that one page that was psychologically appealing to today's couples and that qualified them, because I don't want to fill my pipeline, my inbox with time wasters and with couples that are not in the right price bracket. Because even if your budget, there are people who don't have that money, right? So I want to qualify my couples during that page so that I lose the time wasters and I lose the wrong budget people. And then I want them into my sales funnel so that we can actually start converting them. So the first thing, or one of the core things we did, was to turn that wedding page into a high converting landing page. Very specific actions for the couple to take, very specific content in terms of the imagery and the information. So we knew that the couple were having an emotionally engaging time and that a high percentage of them would take action. Now, you can go right now to your Google Analytics or ask your marketing team for your Google Analytics. Look at how many people land on your wedding page of your website and how many people don't take action. They don't call you, they don't email, they don't inquire, they don't fill out your contact form. And you will see there the opportunity, the missing numbers from the amount of people landing on that page to the amount of people taking action. So first of all, we worked on that. The traffic already coming. Let's get more of that traffic qualified and getting into our sales funnel. The second thing we did was we overhauled their imagery. Now, I'm a big one for imagery because it has such impact. The wedding market, our couples are driven by what they see with their eyes. We're a visual sales process. So we needed to overhaul their imagery, and they had given it a good try before. They'd really tried. They had invested in photographers. They had tried to do style shoots, but they hadn't quite got it. Many venues, and guys, especially hotels, if you're a hotel, then really look at this piece. Many hotels are using the wrong wedding imagery. I see photo shoots, I see images with random brides in a field or random bride in a bath drinking champagne. And whilst those images are lovely and they're gorgeous, they have missed the point. Your wedding imagery has to show the space that the couple are renting, and it needs to be dressed inspirationally so that they actually look and think, wow, I'd like my wedding to look like that. And we have to look at the lighting. We have to look at the photography style. Everything comes into play here. And people always say to me, but Kelly, don't couples want to see real weddings? And yes, there is a piece of that. But let me just ask you a profound question. In which other part of your hotel or venue business do you allow the client to deliver you the marketing imagery? Can you imagine if you built a hotel and you decorated all the bedrooms beautifully, and then you said, okay, great, we'll wait for some customers to come. We'll wait for some families to come. And then after they've come and stayed in our hotel, we will ask them for the photos from their stay so that we can use that in our marketing and in our brochure and on our website. Can you imagine any other market, any other business in the world where we only rely on clients to give us marketing imagery? So the second thing of those three is that we deep dived into their imagery and we created specific marketing shoots at each of their properties so that we could really show the space of their best. And by the way, their spaces, some of them were a little dated, some of them were a little corporate. And so this doesn't have anything to do with how brilliant your space is. It's how brilliant your photography is, how brilliant your marketing imagery is. Okay, remember, I'm going to give you a free PDF at the end. So stay with me. We're about to cover point number 3. And then I'm going to share with you some free resource so you can actually download this and look at it and go over it. And there's 5 core elements in the other one. I'm only sharing 3 with you here. The third thing that we did that really changed the game for this hotel group was we created a hands-off, so not manual, lead capture and warm-up sequence. So what this does is 2 brilliant things, okay? So we created a hands-off, lead capture and warm-up sequence. And the 2 core things it did was this. Number 1, couples want instant information. We live in instant digital world. So if we're still saying to couples, hey, Bob, will you please make an inquiry with our team? And when they're in tomorrow at 8 a.m., they'll send you some information. Like, guys, the 1990s called and they want their sales journey back. This doesn't work anymore. So the first thing is we created this lead capture and warm-up sequence that couples get instant information, but also because they need to be kept in touch with, and not kept in touch with in a way of saying, hi, have you read the brochure? But in a way of, in fact, sharing more imagery and wooing our couples so that they can indeed get to the book a tour stage. And in this way, our couples are going through that sequence and getting to a place where they are ready to take another step. Now, what we have found is that between touch point 4 and touch point 6 is where most of our couples are booking a tour. So if we are simply sending them a response to their inquiry and then sending up a follow-up saying, hey, have you had a chance to read the brochure? We are missing a lot of those bookings. Now, guys, if you're finding this useful, let me know in the chat. So remember on step 3, but the second cool thing about creating a hands-off lead capture and warm-up is that it freed up the wedding coordinators to actually be more high touch. So once couples were ready to be involved with the wedding coordinator. Once couples were ready to move into a serious inquiry or indeed book a tour, now our wedding coordinators were dealing with those couples who are actually interested rather than wasting their times and sucking the life out of them, following up with couples who were never going to move forward. And so instead, we're warming people up in the background, and then our wedding coordinator actually dealing with real humans who are genuinely interested. Now, at this group, they are flying, right? That original 17 that they got in the first couple of months is growing each week from the core actions we did. Those things continue to work for them. And again, in a moment, I'm going to share a free PDF for more steps from how you can do this without having to spend extra money on marketing. And in the free PDF, I'm going to talk about how we also then drive leads into this system once you've got it set up and converting. Now, that program we did with them was my 3-month program, which is 15,000. But in a few weeks, I'm going to be hosting a one-off 1-day workshop in person. Now, this is going to be here in the UK, up in York, at the 5-star property, the Grand in York. I'm sure many of you know it. And this is perfect for senior leaders and team members, because during this 1-day workshop, I'm going to take you through step by step exactly what you need to do, what you need to write, what you need to say, what order it needs to be in, so that you can also increase your wedding revenue. Now, this is happening on the 9th of June, 2025. Early bird pricing ends in a few days. So you really need to be smart here, right? If you know that something has to change, if you know that your team needs support, if you know that you want to upskill yourself in the wedding market, then this 1-day workshop is where it is at. So York in the UK, 9th of June, early bird pricing finishes in a few days. If you want the link, you want more info, comment the word York and I will drop you the link. Now, for that free resource, if you're like, actually, what she said here resonates, some of this training has been really useful already, and you want a little bit more, then download the free PDF that I have, which is the Wedding Venue Revenue Maximizer. I go deep into 5 core areas that you can focus on at your property. And all you have to do is comment the word venue below this video, and I will drop the link to that free resource for you. So for those of you ready to jump in, I will see you in York on the 9th of June, where we will go full on that 1-day workshop. And for the rest of you, comment the word venue, and I will happily send you that free PDF to get you moving. Thank you for joining me live. If you're catching up on replay, pop a little hashtag replay in the comments, and I will see you all on the next one.